Keep in mind, if you're going to run this test on this electronic spark control module and your knock sensor, which is in front of the starter, you have to keep in mind that it's very sensitive, but the electronic control module would have to see less than 6 volts for longer than 4 seconds, which is highly unlikely that that's going to happen unless, and if it did see that, you've obviously got a pretty serious problem somewhere. But wondering that the electronic control module is going to retard the timing in the ignition, you just keep that in mind, that less than 6 volts for longer than 4 seconds, it's highly unlikely that the knock sensor and the electronic spark control module is going to send less than 6 volts to the electronic control module, because the voltage usually runs somewhere between 8 and 16 volts. So that's taking the voltage down pretty far for a long period of time. Loss of the electronic spark control signal, circuit 485, to the electronic control module would cause the ECM to constantly retard timing, which could result in sluggish performance and cause a code 43 to set. So again, this is based on code 43, but this is how you check that system out. If you just want to check your knock sensor and your electronic spark control module, you can on 6E246, there's a little test. You want to back probe this circuit 485, which is the C on the connector of the electronic spark control module. This is pin number 4 on the electronic control module. It says it should always show over 6 volts if you have a code 43, which means the ECM sees a low voltage at circuit 485 terminal 4 for longer than 4 seconds. The voltage drops when the ESC module shuts off because it's receiving a knock signal from the knock sensor. So when you check the voltage, it should be over 6 volts. The electronic spark control module should always be over 6 volts unless the system is sensing an engine detonation. So the electronic spark control module is mounted, it's mounted right on by the heater fan, blower fan, right on the side of the engine. It's held on with a couple of screws. You can back probe terminal C. These are all marked A, B, C, and D. C is the black wire, that's circuit 485. Just back probe that, hook up the multimeter with the red lead, then ground it, and crank it up and see what we see. 10.8 volts. Sends a voltage signal somewhere between 8 and 10 volts, according to what it says right here, to the electronic control module when no spark knocking is detected. Diagnosis down here, it says, so it's got two different voltages, but circuit 485, which normally provides a 6 to 16 volt signal from the electronic spark control module to the electronic control module. The electronic spark control system, which is basically detects a knock, engine knocking. It uses two things. It uses the electronic spark control module, and it uses the electronic spark control knock sensor. The knock sensor is right in front of the starter. this module, which sits on the side of the passenger side by the, you'll see the heater fan, blower, motor. You'll see the module right there. That's the electronic control module. Has 4 wires coming out of it. You want to back probe terminal C, which is circuit 485. When you're back probing these connectors and stuff, I just give you a piece of advice. I would disconnect the battery. I wouldn't be back probing in these connectors and things with the battery all hooked up.